Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I'm so happy to see all of your smiling faces as it gets a little bit darker and a little bit colder each week. You know, we're heading right into what will be a beautiful season of lights, and that music that we just heard reminded us that it's coming. I'm very excited about that. At this darkest time of year, we need to bring as much light into our lives and each other's lives as we possibly can. So Shabbat Shalom, I'm Rabbi Jessica Graf, together with Cantor, Toby, Glaser, Rabbi Abby Phelps. We are delighted to welcome home Jonathan Dimmock, who has been taking a much needed rest, and he's back with us tonight. So we're really looking forward to hearing his beautiful music. We have a little bit of an unusual setup. We're trying something different to make sure that we can abide by the Department of Public Health orders. So everybody be a little patient with us, and hopefully our sound system will work as we hope. So Cantor, are you going to sing for us first, or should we light candles first?
Let's do this. Let's start with a psalm. Let's start with Zamru Ladonai, and then we'll.
Awesome.
And Jonathan is in his office, so we are trying to get him on screen, but he is just above me. We are just making sure that we are nice and separated for the health department. Zamru Ladonai bechinor, bechinor vekol zimra, bechatzotzrot vekol shofar. הריעו לפני המלך אדוני, זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור וכל זמרה, בחצוצרות וכל שופר. הריעו לפני המלך אדוני, ירם הים ומלואו,
It's a pleasure to invite Olivia Holmquist to, Gordon, can we spotlight Olivia and Heather? I know you guys are out there. I can't see you yet.
There we go. Hi. Hi.
I still can't see you, but you guys can see each other, it seems. Okay. Well, Oh, there you are. Hi, guys. I finally got you in this little teeny square on my screen. Hi, everybody. So Olivia and Heather have been part of our congregation now for, I think, maybe almost 2 years. Could it be? The time is sort of flying by. And Olivia's studying in our studio program and preparing to lead our congregation. It was such a pleasure to have lunch with Heather and be reminded or meet each other as adults, learning we had lived next door to each other as teenagers. So it's a very small Jewish community in a small city, and we're so happy to have you guys leading us tonight. Olivia, do you want to tell us anything special about your candles or your candlesticks or your mom?
Well, hello everyone. I'm Olivia Holmquist, and this is my mom, Heather Barrett. I'm in 7th grade at the Hamlin School, and I'm working towards my bat mitzvah in June. And yeah.
And the candlesticks, we couldn't quite get everything into frame, are an heirloom from Olivia's grandmother who lives in Sweden. So sorry they're not on camera, but they're meaningful to us. All right,
those are beautiful. Thank you for sharing those with us. And so in these Swedish candlesticks, if you will light the candles and we'll bring light together of Shabbat into our eyes, is the Cantor gonna chant for us?
No, Olivia's gonna do it all by herself.
Olivia's good, even better.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shashavat.
Amen. Beautiful.
Beautiful. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Awesome. Thanks for leading us in that beautiful prayer. We'll continue with Lecha Dodi, welcoming the angels of Shabbat to surround us each in our homes and in our community for the next 25 hours as we take a nice little break from real life.
Lecha Dodi, לקראת כלה, הנה שבת נקבלה. lecha dodi, לקראת כלה, הנה שבת נקבלה. שב וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו את המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת ולתהילה. lecha dodi, לקראת כלה, הנה שבת נקבלה. lecha dodi, לקראת כלה, הנה שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. lecha dodi, לקראת כלה, הנה שבת נקבלה. lecha dodi, לקראת כלה, הנה שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, 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 שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני אלייך נגלה. lecha dodi, לקראת כלה, הנה שבת נקבלה. lecha dodi, לקראת כלה, הנה שבת נקבלה. We rise as we greet the Sabbath bride. בואי ושלום את הרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. Really nice also to, it's nice being a one-man band, but it's very nice to be able to make music with Jonathan again. It's so lovely to experience Shabbat with such a wonderful artist. So it feels very, I'm sure it feels very good for you to have him back, and for a Cantor, it's really nice to have a music director back.
We love it. And Roberta and Steve, we saw you dancing to Lecha Dodi. That was awesome. I loved it. We'll continue now with Baruch Hu as we have our voices warmed up and we call out and we say, yes, we are here as one community. We take a deep breath now as we bring air and oxygen, life into our lungs and breathe out as we let the week, which is ending, go. We welcome peace and safety and a sense of security. Hey, Vav, hey, name of God that is our breathing into our bodies with these words of Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We remember our freedom as we do every time that we come together even sometimes when it feels like those freedoms are limited more and more during this time as we try to keep ourselves and each other safe. But our basic freedoms to live our lives with dignity and to bring dignity to one another by ensuring that we honor everyone's ability to live in exactly the way that they want to is something that a miracle that was given to us when we walked to freedom out from the narrow place from the land of Egypt. And we remember that with these words of Micha Mocha. God, we ask you to keep us safe under your sukkah of shalom, your shelter, which sometimes feels fragile, especially at this time. Keep your wings around us, and may we be lifted up to a feeling of wholeness and shalom. These words of Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. Ve'ha'amidenu shomrenu l'chayim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Shelter us beneath your wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us wrong from right, O Adonai. Amen. 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 Amen.
God, in our prayers, we call out to you with a mix of keva and kavanah, with the words of our ancestors that feel like they're echoing all around us. The words of our ancestors that have been passed down to us In so many ways, the human condition hasn't changed, and these words have held up our people for generations, for millennia. And our kavanah, our own particular prayers and needs and moments of gratitude, we add to that to make a very beautiful, special Amidah, a service, a central part of our service, which is our own uniquely and also connected through the generations.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon. גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים. ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך? מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. עושה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
Good evening, everyone. Earlier this week, I had the great pleasure of helping a friend with a really interesting project. My friend, whose name is Javi, had been tasked with creating an art piece featuring visual storytelling, and she decided to model her piece on a page of Talmud, using the various elements of the page to convey different aspects of her story. So, in case you're not familiar with the components of a page of Talmud, I can't help myself. I would love to take a moment to explain. So I believe somebody has an image ready to show for me to discuss for a moment that will be screen shared with us all. Uh-oh, I had hoped there would be. Well, I'm not sure if I'm just not seeing it or if it's, oh, nope, there it is. It's on its way. Excellent. All right, so you see in the middle there a rather intimidating looking piece of text, but I'm going to break down for you a little bit what's going on that page. The sort of pinkish red section is the Mishnah. Mishnaic statements are from around 0 to 200, and they are various sort of pithy statements about Jewish normative behavior, Jewish belief. So you have this Mishnaic statement, and then immediately following it, you have the yellow text, which is the Gemara, and that comes from about 200 to 500 CE. And the Gemara is essentially an exploration of what's said in the Mishnah. So the Mishnah will say something relatively straightforward about how Jews should or do practice. And the Gemara, the yellow text, will take that idea and run with it and explore many angles of the ideas. And then you'll see that the blue text, that would be the inside margin of the page. That's the commentary of the medieval rabbi Rashi. And his agenda is essentially to explain as plainly as possible what's going on in the central text in the Mishnah and the Gemara. So that blue text gives you a lot of explanation and context, and the green text includes a number of different commentaries, including the commentary of the Tosafists, who came a couple of generations after Rashi, and who try to complicate what's going on in the Mishnah and the Gemara by bringing in contrasting elements from other parts of the Talmud and saying, well, what happens when we put these pieces in conversation with each other? So to sort of roughly sum it up, the pink part, the Mishnah, is really stating certain things. The yellow part, the Gemara, is exploring those ideas. The blue part, the Rashi commentary, is explaining what's going on, adding context, and the green part is complicating things. So you can take the slide down. Thank you so much. So Javi and I had a great time figuring out how to map her story onto that page, essentially, how to use the Mishnah section for the kernel of her story, how to take the Talmud, the Gemara section, and use it as an exploration of her ideas and her themes, how to take the Rashi section and use it to explain anything that might be confusing, and then to take the Tosfot section and complicate her story by bringing in counter examples. And I mention all of this because, first of all, I love to talk about the Talmud, but also collaborating on this project reminded me of how much the Talmud and really Judaism in general are concerned with process, with using a rigorous but open-minded and civil method to explore and expand upon and hone ideas before arriving at any conclusions. And in fact, sometimes without arriving at any conclusions at all. Judaism teaches that when it comes to grappling with really difficult questions, process is more important than product, not least because only by exploring many angles and engaging in respectful debate with others can we be sure to arrive at a sound conclusion. Our legacy as grapplers or wrestlers can be traced back to this week's Parsha, Vayishlach, in which Jacob famously wrestles with a mysterious Ish, perhaps a man, perhaps an angel, perhaps a manifestation of his own psyche, and he is rewarded with a blessing and a new name. Rather than being called Yaakov as he previously was, a name which alludes to him grasping hold of his brother Esau's heel as the two were being born, he will now be called Yisrael, one who wrestles with God. And we, of course, have inherited that name from him. We are the people of Israel, Yisrael, an entire civilization of God wrestlers. In Jacob's case, the outcome of his wrestling was not only a blessing and a name change, but also mustering up the courage to go out and meet up with his brother. And when they had last seen each other, Esau was so incensed at having lost his firstborn birthright and blessing to his younger brother that he had sworn to kill Jacob, and Jacob had had to flee in fear of his life. So Jacob had every reason to be anxious about this meeting. In our Parsha, after wrestling with the Ish, Jacob is finally able to overcome his fear and meet up with Esau face to face. And in return, Esau greets him with an unexpected warm embrace. Now that's the outcome of Jacob's wrestling, but the process of his wrestling is just as interesting and important as the outcome. In his commentary, Rabbi Yitz Greenberg points out that any process of wrestling always entails a few key elements. First, you have to hold tightly to the person or idea or text that you're wrestling with. Wrestling is always a relational, intimate affair. Second, you have to push back on your opponent, countering their efforts to dislodge you with your own. And third, and perhaps most importantly, you have to show endurance and resilience, hanging on and pushing back for as long as it takes. Of course, wrestling with God works the same way. When times get tough and life seems unfair, we need to strike a balance between validating and voicing our own distress and outrage and holding tightly to our relationship with the divine. And we need to be willing to live in that tension for as long as difficulty endures. Endurance, in addition to being the hardest part of this equation, is the most important part, I should say, is probably the hardest part of this equation. And that was certainly the case for Jacob, because while prevailing in his wrestling match with the Ish did embolden him to meet up with his brother, that boldness didn't last very long. At the end of their encounter, Esau invited Jacob to accompany him to Seir, but Jacob protested that the children and the flocks with their young in his retinue would only slow Esau down, and so he proposed that they follow along behind. And then, instead of actually following his brother to Seir, Jacob essentially ran away in the opposite direction. And this led him to camp outside of the city where, tragically, his daughter would be abducted, and also led to many terrible events that followed. So rather than holding his brother close and enduring the challenge of wrestling with him, Jacob fled and gave up that match. He succumbed to his long-standing preference for dodging conflict rather than constructively confronting it. Jacob's story reminds us that wrestling with ideas or God or other human beings never really ends. On the one hand, that's an exhausting reality, and one in which we will inevitably falter from time to time. But on the other hand, it also means there will always be an opportunity for us to get back up and re-engage with our struggle. In Jacob's case, we know that after Isaac's death, Jacob and Esau joined together to bury their father. Jacob was living near his father at the time, but Esau was not. So we can only assume that Jacob actively sent for Esau to come help bury their father. When the critical moment came, he was willing to re-engage and to re-enter into relationship with his longtime foe. We can do the same. We can do our best to wrestle with integrity, to meet conflict and difficulty with a mix of resoluteness and compassion, and to hang on in the struggle for as long as we can. And whenever we find that we do need to take a break, we can eventually pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and jump back into the ring. At times like these, when we are beset by challenges that have no definite expiration date, when conclusions of any sort often seem elusive, it's comforting to remember that our tradition values process over product. As long as we remain Yisrael, as long as we continue to wrestle firmly but lovingly with ideas and God and one another, we are fulfilling our mission as God's partners on earth. And from time to time, we may find ourselves gaining new names and blessings in the process. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Yishar Kochach. What a beautiful message for this really challenging time. Thank you. When we come together, it is our privilege to join in words of Misha Berach as we ask God for the healing in this challenging time. As Rabbi Abby said, the process is the most important part of surviving this time and also of healing in this time, of arriving at a place where we support one another and we ask God for blessing for so many in our lives and in our community who are in need of a process which lifts them up. On this Shabbat, we pray for the healing and wholeness of Shoshana Chana Asher, Dr. Elliot Eisenberg, William Kurian, Zach Migdale, Carolyn Stellman, Hilary Van Trees, and those whom you mentioned out loud in your homes or also on the chat.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say
When we come together, we also have the privilege to share our simchas, our happy occasions. So I know of a few. I know the Tolson family had a 103rd birthday. Thankfully, we learn about these things on Facebook. Zach is laughing. He can't imagine being 103. That's 99 years from now. And to Evelyn Manus, who just became a grandma again, and Laura, I think, who's on in Guatemala, became an aunt. So Mazal Tov. And I'm sure there are many other wonderful things. Monica and Nancy had an anniversary this week. All of the things that we are celebrating, please say out loud or share with us in the chat so that we can all celebrate together as the Cantor leads us in thanking God for giving us this privilege to be together, for sustaining us and giving us life and allowing us to be here.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. Amen.
Amen. And we know that there are some wonderful things that happen in our world, many of which come about as we help to bring joy to one another. We join now in Aleinu, which literally means it is upon us. It is upon us to heal our world and to take excellent care of each other.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people, whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. In our congregation for Shloshim, we remember Vilma da Silva Harris, who was a congregant at Congregation Sherith Israel. When she and her husband lived in San Francisco, they had relocated to Brazil, had a very close relationship with Rabbi Phelps, who participated in Vilma's choosing of Judaism. If you're observing Shiva or Shloshim, the first 7 or 30 days of mourning, please share a name out loud where you are or in our chat. The perpetual memorials in our congregation are Judith M. Escalante Melvin and Art Rosenberg. If you're observing the first year of mourning, please share a name out loud where you are. The yard sites on this Shabbat are Leah Barnett, Alan Blattner, Violet Smith David, Joanne Fabian, Ida C. Fagone, Morris Friedman, Evelyn Garber, Ben Goldberger, Hannah Hurwitz, David Cofton, Adele Landisman Krause, Minnie Leader, Jack Rittenberg, Barbara Goldman Rukim, Al Sider, Helen Sider, Jenny Sokolov, B. Wall, Zelda Wine, and those whom you mention now.
Okay.
We stand together as one community for Kaddish Yatom as we join together in these words, thanking God for the privilege of the lives that we remember tonight. Yitgadal ve'yitkadash shemei Rabbah ve'alma divra chirutei ve'amlich malchutei v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael v'agala u'vizman kariv ve'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'almei almaya. Yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'pa'ar ve'dramam ve'naseh Vitadar, Vitale, Vitalal, Shemed, Kuchad, Richu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, Tamiran ve'alma ve'imru, Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru, Amen. Osei shalom v'imromav, Hu ya'aseh shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to mourners wherever they are. And we say together, Amen. Please be seated. I'd like to share a few announcements on this Shabbat. First of all, as Cantor Glaser said, it's really a privilege to have Jonathan back, and the music has been so beautiful tonight. We've been waiting for your return eagerly, Jonathan, so welcome home. I would like to introduce all of you to Hagar Ben Eliezer. Gordon, perhaps you can let us see her on the bigger screen, if that's possible. Hagar has joined, well, she's a member of our community, but has joined our community in a new capacity as a chaplain. She is a hospital chaplain and doing a special internship to acquire extra hours to become certified as a Jewish chaplain. It is our tremendous privilege to be able to gain knowledge and caring from her. I want her to say hello and introduce herself to you. She's making lots of phone calls in the community to be in touch with people and look in on people and see how people are doing. She is. And it's really our great privilege as the synagogue to have an incredible person like Hagar to help take care of us, all of us at this time. Hagar is available not only when she calls you, but when you contact her. So she's another person in our community who helps to support all of us. Please say hello and introduce yourself.
Thank you, but I'm not sure my sound is great. Is it really horrible?
We can hear you.
Okay. Thank you for that beautiful welcome. The actual honor is all mine. I really, really respect and love the Sherith Israel community. So this is a great joy for me to be able to work with anybody who would like to work with me. And as Rabbi Jessica said, that I work in a hospital setting, but I also have a background in grief and trauma. And as we all know, we're all kind of going through it right now. And you know, Sherith Israel has always been very cutting edge in really meeting the needs of congregants. So this is just another layer of support. That's what I'm doing. So I look forward to speaking with you guys, and I've had some great conversations so far and looking forward to more.
So information on how to reach Hagar came out in the email this morning. It will be printed again, or not printed, but whatever, the digitally printed on Tuesday. And you can also reach Hagar through our office. We're really so delighted to have you. Welcome in your new capacity. Also, the Chesed Committee had an awesome idea. And Janet, I saw you on this call. Would you like to announce your Challah project? Gordon, are you able to unmute Janet Parker? I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, I know.
Hi.
There you are.
It's not my project, it's from the Hesed Committee. And we thought, what's more loving and nurturing in the universe than Challah? And the Hesed Committee, along with Hamotzi, always bring meals to families with new babies, or if you're in the hospital or going through grief, or just if you need a cheering up thing. And we thought it would be a really fun idea to add a challah. And we're hoping that as you prepare your Friday night challahs, think about maybe adding a little more ingredients and making an extra one or two. And as we said in Under the Dome, mini and Barbie challahs are always welcome. Those Barbie challahs, keep them coming. The more sprinkles, the better. We love them. So if you have any questions or if you'd like to donate a challah, please call me. My name's in the End of the Dome, and we will pick up and deliver. So all you have to do is make it, and we'll take it from there. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Let no Barbie in our community be without a fresh challah. I love it. Shabbat shalom to Janet and Chris over there. Torah study tomorrow morning will be led by Rabbi Phelps. And following Torah study, as Jonathan and Cantor Glaser have given us a beautiful glimpse of, Hanukkah is coming up. Gordon, would you like to announce some of our upcoming Hanukkah programming?
I would be delighted to do that. So first off, Hanukkah is coming. You knew that already. So starting on the 10th at 6 p.m. and every night of Hanukkah thereafter, we will have candle lighting with a different host committee every evening. And we hope you will join us, bring your Hanukkiot in a way that Smokey the Bear wouldn't object to. Also, there is a special Hanukkah Tot Shabbat on the 18th at 5 p.m. You don't have to be a tot to join us, but it might help, you know, if you have loose knees so you can dance around a little bit. There are other things coming after the new year, so stay tuned for all of that. Rabbi, back to you.
Sorry.
Or yes, Cantor.
Yes, I just wanted to say that there will be a very special musical presentation on the Monday night of Hanukkah. That's the 14th. We have the Koleno choir, and it should be a lot of fun. So it's only going to be 10 minutes or so, but I know that the choir has really been looking for opportunities, and we've all been looking for opportunities to share music, and so we've gotten a little bit creative with that. And additionally, next Shabbat evening will be more of a sermon and song, exploring the liturgy and music of Hanukkah. So if you're ever curious about the roots of Mao's Tzur, that is definitely a service you don't want to miss.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Okay, Rabbi, here is your toss.
Awesome. Except that Noah Levy, do we want to say something about another upcoming Hanukkah program?
So there'll be details. So Noah Levy is offering us a concert that she's doing from their chocolate factory. That's so Willy Wonka. I'm singing in my chocolate factory. And that will be the Friday evening of Hanukkah, which is also the 18th. And there'll be details in Under the Dome starting this coming Tuesday. Okay, now can I toss it back to you?
Yes, it's after services, so you can have lots and lots of Hanukkah music. I just want to make one other announcement, which is you probably saw the thermometer going up in our Under the Dome on Tuesday. The thermometer being the annual fund thermometer, showing the generosity, the financial generosity of our community that keeps us alive and thriving. And so we want to invite everybody to please contribute, to donate as much as you can, especially in this year, as we want to keep our community really strong and really connected. Please help us meet our goal for the annual fund. And without further ado, I think we have a very special visitor who I saw sign in for Kiddush. Rabbi Abby, will you introduce the person who's going to hold up the Kiddush cup for us?
Me?
We do indeed. Zachy, it is not you this evening. It is, in fact, Sarai Brown Ratner, who wrote in the chat earlier that it is her birthday on Sunday. So I'm hoping we can spotlight the Brown Ratners for a moment. Sarai, as soon as we have you on the screen, I can't actually see if that's happening or not. Oh, there you are. Sarai, do you want to tell us how old you're turning on Sunday?
15.
Cool. Are you going to do anything fun?
No.
All right, fair. It's a challenging time to do anything fun for your birthday. Well, we're very grateful that you have chosen to share some of it with us. You have a Kiddush cup that you can show us?
Sort of. Well, our house is our house is under construction right now, so we don't have a lot of our stuff got packed. But I do have this mug from Target. So,
Love it. Well, no worries. That is an exciting moment to be in, and I'm sure Cantor Glaser will be happy to hold up or show on the screen a real Kiddush cup on your
behalf. It's not the cup, it's how you bless it. So don't worry, it's great.
And in honor of your birthday, Sarai, Zach ran off to get his Kiddush cup. So if everybody out there who has a Kiddush cup, I see lots of them, please would hold it up. We'll join with the Cantor as we bless you, Sarai, and our Shabbat together.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר יציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון. הנחלתנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת. Amen. L'chaim to Sarai.
L'chaim. Can you say L'chaim? L'chaim. And all of you who have a challah, plush or otherwise, please hold it up for us.
Do we have any special chalot? Anyone out there? All right. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon. Shabbat shalom.
But we will conclude with a beautiful nigun as we usher ourselves off to dinner and to conversation here on Zoom or with people in our homes or on the phone all together. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
It's so exciting. It's Shabbat.